Support at an event with Oprah Winfrey tonight. Donald Trump spent his evening in a very different way, headlining an event about fighting anti-Semitism. Chanley Painter is live with the latest on the different approaches to the campaign trail. Chanley, good evening.
Hey, good evening, Trace. The vice president in Michigan tonight appealing to voters in Oprah's Unite for America virtual rally featuring several celebrity guests. Watch.
I want to bring my daughters to the White House to meet this black woman president.
My daughter's, her reproductive rights are incredibly important.
Harris fielded questions from the audience on immigration, abortion, and the cost of living.
Part of my plan is for first-time homeowners, buyers, to have a $25,000 down payment assistance to buy your first home. Part of my plan is to give startup small businesses a $50,000 tax deduction to start up their small business. Right now, it's $5,000.
Meanwhile, former President Trump in D.C. addressing the Israeli-American Council.
I will be your defender, your protector. This ugly tide of anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas bigotry and hate will be turned back and crushed starting at noon on January 20th, 2025.
In his remarks, Trump criticized Harris over the Biden administration's handling of the Israel-Hamas war and for anti-Semitic protest.
My administration will inform every college president that if you do not end anti-Semitic propaganda, they will lose their accreditation and federal taxpayer support.
Trump's address coming as he takes a 7-point lead in the latest Fox News poll on who voters trust to do a better job in handling the Israel-Hamas war. Trace?
Chanley Painter live for us in New York. Chanley, thank you. Let's bring in Outkick host Tommy Lahren and political strategist Terry Schilling. Thank you both for coming on. Tommy, to you first. During the Oprah conversation, Kamala Harris almost for the 9,000th time said, I was raised a middle-class kid, but she didn't. And she kind of caught herself. Watch this.
So I'm going to be taking on price gouging. But it's also about dealing with what we need to do around home ownership, right? So as someone mentioned during this film, look, I grew up a child of a mother who worked very hard.
Yeah, I mean, very close, Tommy, but she's got like 250 words and she's got to use them all and she can't go outside that. So there you have it. What do you think?
She was almost unburdened by what has been in that as well. But I think the real person who was burdened by that was Oprah Winfrey. She looked noticeably uncomfortable at how bad Kamala Harris did. But I'd also like to point out, nothing says that you were a middle-class kid quite like having a virtual town hall with one of the richest women on planet Earth and celebrities phoning in on Zoom who will not be impacted really in the slightest by any of your policies. Those people don't really care so much if the price of groceries goes up or the price of gas or if they have to deal with an EV mandate. They can afford all of those things. So it must be nice to have the glitz and the glamour and the fundraising dollars. But if you're trying to connect with independent swing voters who are worried about the economy, I'm not so sure this is the way to go about it.
Yeah, I think maybe Chris Rock should do a stand-up gig in Springfield or in Aurora. He might get a better idea. Here's the Marist and the Washington Post polls. We'll put them together for you here. This is just in Pennsylvania, Terry, but you see here, you've got the president. That's not the one. It's the Pennsylvania one. Race tied in Pennsylvania. It's at 49-49 in the Marist poll, and Trump leading in the Washington Post poll, 49-48. It's a dead heat, however you look at it, Terry.
No, that's exactly right, Trace, and there's a very good reason for that. The American people have seen both of these candidates, or at least both of these, the results of these two terms, and they don't like what they got out of Harris, and they want to go back to what they had under Trump. Voters care about what candidates will do for them and what their opponents are going to do to them. This is very much a jump ball. And Trace, I just want to point to one other thing that I've recently discovered. The Media Research Center, run by my very good friend Brent Bozell, did an analysis and showed that Kamala Harris has gotten 84% positive coverage. Trump has gotten 89% negative coverage, and it's still a jump ball. That's very, very optimistic for the Trump campaign.
Yeah, and we did that story. So I want to put this up. Major problem for your family. This is the Fox News poll. Problem for your family. Grocery prices, 66%. It's higher than it was in May. Housing cost, way higher than it was in May. Gas prices, 48.49. I mean, Tommy, you look at these, and people feel like the economy is getting worse.
Right. And I think this election is going to come down to, honestly, feelings and emotions. And I mean that because I think people are going to vote either for Trump or going to vote against Trump. I think there's a very small section of people who are actually going to vote for Kamala Harris. The people that will probably just really don't like Donald Trump's personality. But they really have to weigh this. Do they care more about their hatred or their obsession with hating Donald Trump than they do their own family, their livelihood? And I think immigration is going to play into all of this. When you look at the economy, it doesn't matter if she's going to give $25,000 to first-time home buyers. Is she going to extend that to illegal immigrants? The 10 million she let in, is she going to give them work authorization? Are they going to be now taking American jobs? Questions that need to be asked of Kamala Harris. Not many days left to do it.
And need to be answered, and we haven't heard the answers yet. Lastly, I got to put this up. Iranian hackers, AP News says, tried but failed to interest Biden's campaign in stolen Trump info, says the FBI. And John Ratcliffe, the former national intel director, said this. Watch.
Iran actually shares a common goal with the Harris campaign, which is to stop Donald Trump at all costs. And I think that's why you see Iran trying to help the Harris campaign.
Yeah. Terry, I got to go, but Iran does not want Donald Trump back in the White House.
No, they do not. And this is the definition of a double standard, right? For 4 years, we had to hear about Russia, them intruding into our elections. And here we have a locked case here. It's very obvious that the media, the legacy media, not you guys, obviously, but the legacy media has their cane in this race.
Yep, and they don't want anything to do with this story. Terry, Tommy, thank you so much. Coming up, a CNN